very soon, so I
really?
was packing most of the weekend.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Okay. That actually is an interest of mine is on GameSpot.com because you have quite a lot of vintage game shit in your house. It's fair to say.
It's between 900 and 1,000 games.
Really?
And I think like 30 consoles.
So how are you boxing? Do you have a company coming to get your stuff? Like your general stuff?
My girlfriend works for a company that links people with services. So we're actually getting like a good deal on movers, but I don't trust them to pack my stuff for me because hundreds of dollars worth of games, or a game worth hundreds of dollars is scary to see some guy pick it up and be like, oh, what is this thing? You know? So layers of bubble wrap. Dude, I'm such a nerd. I spent like 4 hours one day calculating dimensions of like different cases and different consoles and the boxes I could buy.
Like the most efficient way,
but also safe way to move all this stuff. And I got like, after all of that, it came time to get the boxes and time to pack. And like 10 minutes in, I was like, screw this. I just made things, make sure things were comfortable. Nothing too close to the top, so when I stack my boxes, I'm not going to crush anything.
Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah, but it's terrifying though. Everything's sitting in a garage in Twin Peaks, San Francisco right now, which is like one of the coldest parts of the city.
Yes.
So it's all,
Great.
It's all, yeah.
Your baby's there for now.
Freezing.
Wow, that's cool. I hope it goes well. Hope none of it gets damaged.
But I will say, actually, I did play a little bit of Severed.
Oh, cool.
Box Studios. I didn't get very far. I played about an hour or so.
That is from the Guacamelee folks.
Yes.
Is that, okay, I might be crazy. That is clearly also, that's not just coming out on Vita, right?
I've spoken to them before about it going to mobile.
Right.
And their whole discussion was we're just talking Vita right now. But they would be leaving money on the table if they didn't port that to mobile.
Like, I like Vita. I own a Vita. There's no Vita games to play. Like, last year, I basically bought no Vita games. Like, except for,
Severed, man.
old ones. Yeah, but Severed was, like, one of those games that's kind of like, what was the one from the Little Big Planet? What was
Tearaway?
Tearaway, right? Where, like, games that were made really well for the Vita. Like, specifically with the Vita in mind. And Severed's kind of like that as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, it leverages the touchscreen, which is not unique to Vita these days. So
coming to Wii U.
It could, dude. Yeah. I mean, they'd be smart to do that because the game is really cool. Like it has this wonderful color palette, really sharp design, and this all sort of like plays with, in this game in particular, really dark themes. So it's a pretty cool balance between the two. And the game starts with your arm getting cut off, and then you like chase this like weird mystical arm to like gain powers, and the combat ramps up pretty quickly. And you swipe to attack, but you're incentivized to actually not just swipe like crazy, to actually time your attacks properly to build up consecutive hits.
So there's like good rhythm to it, right?
Sorta, yeah. And so, by sticking to that rhythm, you gain the ability to lop off enemies' limbs and stuff, and that's what you use to upgrade your equipment. So you can play like a jerk, yeah. You can play like a jerk, or you can feed the mystical arm that you're following body parts, and it'll grant you new powers.
Great, and that's all we really wanted in life.
It's like a demented version of Mega Man.
Sure.
There you go.
I don't know.
Nope.
I don't know.
Nope. Punchlines all over.
No, that was a legit punchline. I thought about it for like 10 minutes before I said it.
Unlucky.
Yeah.
Did you get some sun this weekend, Mike? You look a little red on the camera.
I think I always look red.
Yeah.
Especially on cameras.
Irish
but yeah,
skin.
I did.
That's work. I played tennis yesterday. That was fun.
For the first time? Was it like Windjammers?
The first time in like 10 years if you don't count Wii Sports. So I couldn't just like stand there on my sofa flicking my wrist that one way for every single shot.
Did you try to play tennis with your Wiimote at first?
I did. It's really hard.
Tennis is harder than it looks in general.
Yeah, it is.
Very much.
Yeah.
So.
It's a real son of a bitch of a sport like that. It's like, oh yeah, it looks easy to watch Andy Murray just going, nope. Turns out you run a lot. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about video games. None of these fake real world video games. Let's talk about Star Fox Zero.
Oh boy.
Peter Brown, Star Fox Zero. You've been playing it for what seems like an eternity here in the office. Finally, the review's up, embargo's out. 7 out of 10 on GameSpot.com. I was expecting a lower score, maybe a little bit, just from some of the conversations that were happening around this game. Talking to Reichert about it over Giant Bomb as well. He seems super down on it. As a big Star Fox fan, you're a big Star Fox fan as well.
I am.
Is this very much like Star Fox 64? Where does it fall short?
So it's like Star Fox 64 in the sense that it uses a lot of the same locations and characters and events and even like remarks that characters have, like the catchphrases. You know, you'll recognize them if you've played Star Fox 64.
Somebody asks you to do a barrel roll.
Yeah.
Do you then do the thing that's not a barrel roll?
It's the Himmelman.
Yeah.
The
whatever it is.
I forget what it's called. Yeah.
Hyman maneuver. Yeah.
The Hyman maneuver.
That's it. Classic.
But you know, beyond all that sort of superficial stuff, the gameplay is fundamentally different because it forces you to use the gamepad in conjunction with the TV because the levels are designed to okay, in typical Star Fox games, where you fly is where your reticle moves.
Yeah.
It's a one-to-one connection. In this game, they're separate. You can hold down a button and keep them connected, but the moment you start shooting, the motion controls of the gamepad take over. So you're essentially using like an independent gun to fire within a 180-degree spectrum versus straight ahead.
Right.
So managing those two things, particularly looking between two screens, is very challenging, and it's proven to be a divisive mechanic. Especially for myself early on, I felt like this series is made worse by doing this. Coming out of it, I don't think it's made better by implementing it, but I got used to it, and I could appreciate Star Fox Zero on its own terms for what it is.
Well, that's kind of the thing with a lot of new control schemes is that almost immediately a lot of them, unless they feel very, very intuitive, like something like, I don't know, maybe
Wii Tennis.
Maybe Wii Tennis, for instance, yeah. There are lots of controls that you go, oh, I don't like this. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't feel right. Like if you get like the first time I've played a racing game with wheels instead of using the control sticks on a controller, or not with wheels, sorry, with pedals. It just feels like it feels weird again.
Yeah.
But yeah, you kind of get used to it after a while, or it becomes less.
Yeah, I mean, I walked away from the game countless times the first few hours because it was just I wasn't enjoying myself, and when I found myself getting frustrated, I felt like it was because something was implemented needlessly, and in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this is them justifying the gamepad again. Like, I don't want to be a victim of their whims when it comes to feeling better about their product. But then every time I came back, like it started to click more and more. And it's sort of one of those things like, you have something in your subconscious and you don't think about it, but like in the background, like your brain is kind of like figuring stuff out. The more time I spent away from the game, I came back and I kept seeing this improvement. And so at that point, it became less of me wrestling with the controls and me just playing the game, just understanding what it was. There's even like an order of operations you kind of have to assume. Because when you're flying forward, like this game is mostly on rails, right?
Right.
Aiming, you can kind of do instinctually because you sort of begin to understand where the reticle is going to be. But it's in the all-range mode where you're flying in 3D space that it becomes particularly difficult. So I learned to look at the TV, position my ship where I want it to be with the enemies in sight, then look at the gamepad, shoot them for as long as I could, start the process over again.
Right.
It's complicated a little bit.
Especially when you just come off playing Eve Valkyrie, which actually does a really good job of marrying those two things together.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Star Fox is a very interesting game, and the opinions out there on it are equally interesting, I think. Yeah.
Seems like a good who's who of kind of old and new as well. The Landmaster tank is back in a sort of a new form.
Turn into a jet.
Yeah, the Orwing can turn into a mech sometimes as well, it seems like.
Yeah, and that's sort of they implemented something like that in the unreleased version of Star Fox 2.
Right.
It's like a bipedal mech, affectionately known as the chicken, because it kind of looks and moves like a chicken. And then there's also a gyro wing. It's sort of like a drone type copter. None of those are really that fun. And this might just me personally, but Star Fox for me, it was always about the joy of flight. Even though you were shooting enemies in the older games, that was all linked to flight in some way.
Yeah.
So everything you were doing was bound to the art of flying and that feeling you get when you're going through tight spaces and stuff like that. And when stopping to pause to use the gyrocopter to drop a robot that can go into a crevice. It just felt so tedious, and I was like, "Get me back to the action," So there's a lot of that here, though, which is great. So these new vehicles don't really take away from stuff. They don't really add a whole lot either, at least in my opinion.
We talked a lot about the sort of negative aspects of it. 7 out of 10 on GameSpot's a pretty decent score, though. All
it's an endorsement.
So what is it about this that sort of appeals to you? I'm a Wii U owner. I'm not somebody who grew up with Nintendo consoles, so I don't have that.
Sorry.
I know, right? Commodore baby, that's my Nintendo up there.
I'm a bit jealous though that you did have access to that because you could just copy your games.
I know, right? Yes, and then they never made one again.
Right.
But I guess I don't have that nostalgia factor with it necessarily. Star Fox 64 was always one of those games that seemed like that it was a game that it had so much impact, not just because of how it played, but also just visually and everything. What it was doing was holy shit! Video games can do this. Obviously, that's not necessarily the case in 2016. So, what is it about Star Fox Zero that gets it a 7 out of
10? So part of what I was talking about again is sort of the joy of flight. I think it captures the essence of movement really well, and there are a lot of levels that sort of serve as playgrounds for that sort of action. And those can either be really fast or they can have the right mix of enemies that make something challenging in just the right way without being too frustrating, at least once you get used to the controls. So yeah, it's just really great set pieces as well. Like, I'm not going to say the Wii U does an amazing job of making this game look incredible, but like, when you're flying around spaceships that are so big that no matter how close you fly to it, you just feel like you're not getting any closer because it's that big. It's kind of, you feel that sense of scale. So it's really the fast-paced action mixed with flying and some really great set pieces. I kind of found the nostalgia stuff that they put in there to be a hindrance because I really wanted this to be an opportunity for a true modern sequel to Star Fox. And it's really a reimagining. They introduced some new levels and, again, vehicles and even a character. But for the most part, I felt like, okay, this is a game I've played before. It's just a little more convoluted. But that said, even though I'm done reviewing it, unlike a lot of games I review, I kind of want to keep playing this just for that fun because it delivers something that the Wii U doesn't have, which is a great space combat game. So
there you go.
There you go. Also, if you purchase it, you get Star Fox Guard.
What's Star Fox Guard?
Star Fox
Sounds
Guard.
like a virus scanner.
Miyamoto at E3 2014 was showing off like 2 concept games, and one of them was Project Guard. It's a tower defense game where you have to monitor 12 video cameras.
Okay.
And
it's Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So you monitor these 12 video cameras that have guns attached to them, and what you can do is you can switch to the different camos using the gamepad, and then you can shoot enemies that are trying to invade your base.
Okay.
And it's kind of just that simple. They introduce new weapons, they introduce new enemies that make things harder. But it's really fun, and it's sort of set in this comical part of the Star Fox universe where you're working with Slippy Toad's uncle Grippy.
Oh God, that's the naming convention of that family. They're going to run out of ideas real soon.
Yeah, it's got great character. It's really accessible and easy to understand, and the challenge ramps up in a really good way. So you have a lot of fun without getting frustrated.
So that comes out. That's just alongside of it.
That's bundled with Star Fox Zero. It's actually its own separate physical package, but then you can also buy it on its own digitally for $10.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Peter Brown. Talk about Star Fox Zero. Finally, after months of talking about it in the office, we can talk about it. Review, of course, live up on GameSpot.com. 7 out of 10. If you have any thoughts, please put them in the comments below. A lot of people in the chat. If you have any questions, by the way, of anything we're talking about, I am keeping an eye on the chat. We'll get to Outlast in a sec. Sorry.
I have a one non sequitur.
Oh, you do?
So do I.
What?
Right after I got done editing his review, much to the ire of the editorial pen, I brought up Star Fox Adventures, a game we don't.
Oh yeah,
a game we don't talk about enough because everyone seems to hate it. But I think it's a very unloved and underappreciated. I wanted to plug Star Fox Adventures.
How old are you when you played it?
12.
Okay, I'm gonna say that's why you like it.
Yeah, I'll go back to it to just kind of maybe reprimand my memory.
I like Sonic Adventure and 1 and 2.
I like that.
Are they okay games? But I always think I like Sonic R as well, the racing game.
Yeah.
And to me, that's because I was like 13.
Yeah, I don't know how well it'll hold up in retrospect, but he seemed to be mad when I brought it up.
Oh, really?
Furious. No, I don't care. I also just didn't care for that game. I don't think this is related, but it's interesting that it happened. It's kind of a coincidence, I believe. Minami-san, the president of Platinum Games, stepped down the day before Star Fox came out. Although technically that's when the news came out, but he stepped down like weeks before.
Right.
And Platinum is the co-developer of Star Fox with
Yeah.
Nintendo, which is like, it's got so many people like wondering what's happening, and I'm not of the mind that like Star Fox is the reason he left, but I'm really curious as to what happened with that.
Has there been any talk about where he's going next?
No.
Right.
I'm positing Kojima Productions
Right.
because they're trying to build a dream team.
And if that happens, we won't know about it until E3, probably, right?
Maybe. I mean, Kojima was at the Platinum 10th anniversary party.
Oh, really?
Like, all this shit.
Right. I mean, he likes to party.
That's true.
Kojima likes to party. That's what the shirt says. All right, we got a bunch more stuff to jump into here. A lot of people talking about the Call of Duty rumor that's going around at the moment, though.
It's going to be free to play. That's what they mean by infinite. It's going to be a service. It's not going to be a one-off.
It's going to be like an infinite runner. It's going to be Call of Duty. You're just like shooting people through a hole. Hit left. Hit right.
No, but imagine if it's like the Call of Duty that just persists forever, like Dota and League of Legends will persist forever, like in that one form that just gets updated and changed.
Oh, so they won't bother doing annual releases anymore?
No, they might.
Why?
But no. Yeah.
But it's like a side project you think this is?
I don't really think it is. I'm introducing the idea. Because Infinite Warfare sounds ridiculous, but what could you pull from that, right?
It's a forever war.
Right.
Isn't that the name of that book? Forever War?
Sure.
Yeah?
I don't read.
That's the one where there's like a war happening in like a distant part of space. So this like dude keeps going out to like fight this battle, but every time he comes back to Earth because of the way time works, it's like 100 years has passed every time.
How many chapters of that book do you need?
I don't know. Yeah, I know.
That's just Interstellar mixed with Star Wars. That's as if Matthew McConaughey went off like far, far away.
Yeah.
But Is Infinite War just? It sounds like
Infinite Warfare.
Infinite Warfare just sounds like Infinity Ward putting their studio name on it.
Infinity Ward's latest game, Infinite War.
Because it's their turn for the game, right? Yeah, I mean, Sledgehammer.
It definitely sounds like a good working title to have, like project title, like fake title to have, like Titan. You know?
Yeah.
Nobody ever calls a game that.
Nobody.
All right. Infinite Warfare 2 could be the stupidest title ever, says Luna 9. Yep, that's a good point. All right, let's talk about games sequels that are actually coming out. Outlast came out in 2013. Red Barrel Games up in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Is that the word? Mm-hmm. Yeah, is that where
Quebec.
it is? Yeah, Quebec.
Montreal.
All that poutine land. That was a really popular game. Came out on a bunch of consoles and PC. Streamed a lot as well. I feel like it was a big streaming success, the first one. Outlast 2. You got to play it at PAX.
Yeah.
Tell me about it, Michael Mahardy.
So it, as of now, does not seem connected to Outlast 1. There might be some threads actually tying them together a little bit, but it seems like its own thing.
So it's not taking place in the first one was in a
mental institution. This one kind of jumps back and forth between a bunch of places. It seemed like it was just the beginning of the game, although that could just be the demo purposes. But it starts off, it's very much like The Conjuring, if you've seen it, based on that supposedly real couple who was always in paranormal investigators. I forget their exact names.
Wasn't that the move?
If you've seen The Conjuring, it's supposedly it's based on these people who wrote a book. It's supposedly real.
Okay.
I don't know. And you're these two investigative journalists that go somewhere into the American Southwest, and there's this big darkness that's just covered the land. So you go to investigate it, and of course, things go wrong. There's a car crash, and then you're separated from you're the guy. So you're separated from your wife, and you're going through this kind of abandoned Resident Evil 4-ish town at the beginning.
Okay,
and
there's lots of Spanish people.
Yeah, Ganados and everything.
Slowly walking, ambling towards you.
And then the president keeps calling you. That doesn't happen in Resident Evil 4. You're going through that abandoned town, and it's all decaying, dilapidated. But then, without spoiling anything, it jumps to this schoolhouse all of a sudden through this weird supernatural part, and it becomes kind of like the Poltergeist, where there's this invisible thing slamming lockers, and you go and hide in one. And every time you go into the cafeteria, you see these people, quick flashes outside of the windows.
So it's like genre jumping kind of.
Yeah, it does it really well, too, from the 15 minutes we played. Mary and I played it. And then it goes to this thing at the end. There's it's just the axe murderer that kind of chases you down. And it's really good in very much like the first game, and not just being about jump scares, which can be cheap. The jump scares in this game, so far, it felt like it earned them.
The first game was pretty creepy as well, though. There was a good feeling of dread.
Super demented.
Yeah. Just I do not like being in this place.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a good blend of gore, just that disturbing kind of horror, unsettling, I think. And it jumped really well between those. And then also it has that look over the shoulder function that kind of really messes with you because, it's like Guillermo del Toro. He always shows the monster, contrary to what a lot of other filmmakers don't. And that's kind of like what they're doing. And you look over your shoulder while you're being chased by a bunch of these angry villagers, or almost like this undead family, and you're going through this cornfield at the end. And I saw Mary went off the path into the corn, which seems logical, but then she hid in this barrel, and you could see through the holes in it. And then all of a sudden a bunch of these people are passing by, and then all of a sudden one just stops and turns toward her and opens it. She got killed. I died at one part too, a different part, but I just took the path, but looking over your shoulder at the people chasing you is terrifying. It's so much more dreadful than jump scares.
Yeah.
In such a great way, because it's just this dread that really pushes throughout the whole.
There are few games that do that chasing sequence in horror games. Good. Do you remember Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corners of the Earth?
Yeah, that Xbox game.
Yeah, it was on PC as well. I think it was what I played it on. Yeah, that was in a game where you were running away from the townspeople and running into doors and pushing things against the doors, so it would take them longer to break in and stuff. And those sequences were effective. How long were they?
The chase itself, there was one chase in this game, unless you count the school, because you kind of feel like you're being chased, even though I don't think technically you were.
Right.
It lasted about 20 seconds. You're escaping this house into the cornfield through this little farm, and you're hearing these people just shouting some weird guttural language. I don't know what it was supposed to be. It definitely was not what people in the American Southwest speak.
Yeah. Was it quite open? I remember the first game, maybe I'm thinking wrong, or maybe I didn't play enough, but I remember it being quite tight corridor. kind of crawly. Like it opened up some airways, but like it was never like open.
It was more like Resident Evil or Metroid almost. You kind of go into certain areas, the doors are locked, then you have to you have to go into the basement and then backtrack a little bit. This was far more linear than the first game. The first game wasn't open, but it was still kind of, you could explore a little bit.
This might be the purpose of a demo though as well. You know?
Exactly, yeah. So I don't know how much of this will translate into the game itself.
But the map, just looking through, like going through cornfields
sure.
and stuff, that seems like there's more space.
Definitely, yeah, 100%. The environments themselves are very much more, you can go down multiple paths or just completely ignore the path like Mary did and just go off into the cornfield. It was good in the way it jumped between environments, but also in just how like these different types of horror. There's one part where it almost approached that kind of Japanese style, like The Grudge or The Ring with the girl with like hair over her face, and that was
Sadako.
Pretty terrifying too. Yeah,
like it.
It was a very scary demo. Yeah.
How long were you in there for?
15 minutes. It was also cool. The booth itself at the show, you kind of see it from afar. It's like this mini black chapel, and then when you walked in,
there's some pictures of it.
Yeah, the 3 booths you're playing in have curtains over them, and that's like confessional booths. And one of the guys himself said, like, "Are you ready to confess?" I was like, "Oh my god, I don't think so." But it was cheesy, but effective.
What about the camera stuff? Is any changes to that? The sort of using the night vision and whatnot. I quite liked at the start how it was the one thing I always wanted them to do in like Half-Life 3 was like give Gordon's glasses presence, where you knock them off and when you put them on, you see clearly. Did the glasses ever come off as well? Does the camera stuff ever get played?
Yeah,
with?
it was just, you're kind of scavenging for batteries. Not too constantly that it takes away from the experience itself, but enough that it kind of lends this good tension to it, because you're finding batteries in these abandoned homes to, recharge your camera and use the night vision.
Bullshit.
And
if ever I'm looking for batteries for my Xbox One controller, it always takes me like 20 minutes. You're saying abandoned cornfield houses have just double A's lying around?
Yeah, they don't have like Office Max or anything. So I imagine like that'd be tough.
They like load up on them, you think?
I guess so.
They buy in bulk?
There's parts where you cannot see anything, because the whole idea is that you're investigating what this darkness is. And there's parts where it's pitch black and you're screwed. And there's, you're getting chased by things at certain points and you're kind of managing the night vision, which is a cool touch. The first game did it, but this one did it really well in that you can't see at certain parts. So you really have to just rely on manage the battery life, or just rely on instinct when you're trying to find your way through the hallways.
Battery management. Yeah. It's like being at PAX, being a camera person at PAX. Luna9 also saying Outlast is one of the games in Steam library I've yet to play. I feel like it's one of those games that everyone kind of has, but maybe a lot of people I haven't completed it. Was it on PSN? PlayStation Plus, I feel like, or something?
I don't think Outlast made it to PlayStation. I could be wrong.
I played it on PS4.
Yeah, I played PS4.
Actually,
oh, really?
I played it. I never played it on Steam. I had heard about it, but like I was in your situation. I never got around to it. And then, played it on. It was one of the earlier games I played on PS4. Yeah. I played it right after like Lego Marvel superheroes.
I think it was right when all that Twitch stuff. Yeah, it was.
It's a good contrast.
Yeah,
it was Call of Duty Ghosts, Lego Marvel, and then Outlast. I'm pretty positive.
It's a good Saturday night. I like it. Thank you so much for telling us all about it. When is it coming out? How are you feeling about it, actually, in terms of like, did you want to play more? Did it feel like a new take on the sort of tried and tested formula? Because I feel like if any genre goes down the line of, we'll just copy the same thing over and over again, it's the horror genre.
It felt very good like the first game did. I didn't think the first game was spectacular, but it was definitely, I thought it was great. This one seems like it's taking those base mechanics and just putting in these environments I want to explore, but also don't, because it was pretty scary.
Sweet.
I'm excited for it, yeah.
Thank you, Michael Mahardy.
And fall. Sorry.
Fall. Coming out in fall. Halloween, of course it is.
Yeah.
Why would you ever release a game?
They're aiming for it, is what they told me. They sounded tentative, but we'll find out.
All right.
Yeah.
Cheers. Thank you. All right. Let's mix it up. Peter Brown. I'm so sorry, because I know you want to talk about Rocket League, but I need to get our boy.
For the record, Pete has gotten very good.
Rob Handler.
He used to be like one of the weaker people. Now I think he's better than me.
I was a scrub, and now I'm a god.
He was all like, Rocket League's not game of the year back in December.
Oh, boy. Let's not rehash that discussion. I did have one little thought before Rob gets on, so I can say something about Rocket League. You know the whole story about like the car kind of like being a foot?
Yeah.
So one of the new things in basketball is that you can slam dunk. Sorry, Rob.
Yeah.
And I was mad. A bunch of us kept doing it at the same time, and it's like the team becomes a hand.
Like 5 cars.
All right, that's my dumb insight. I'm out of here.
I like it. Cheers, Peter. Thanks for coming on. At PC Brown on Twitter, if you want to talk to him privately about his love for Rocket League. Thanks, Peter. What up, Rob?
Cha-ching!
How you doing?
Pretty good, man.
You guys wore
I'm
similar
gonna leave
shirts.
too, actually.
No, you're not. Don't do that.
I'm just kidding. What's up, Rob?
Hey, Rob.
Hey,
How you doing?
great, man.
How was it going back there in the production room?
It's going good. I'm learning some of the ropes to help out.
You know, oh yeah, because we use a pulley system to edit this
Oh,
video.
dude. Puppeteering.
Let's talk about Rocket League.
Dude.
The game that keeps on giving.
Yeah, man, especially this time around.
I know. Hoops, so basketball, basically, has been brought to the world of speedy, dinky race cars. The ice hockey update, I feel like it was back in November or something. It was like a little bit, and that was kind of fun. It was like a nice snow
change
day.
up.
Yeah, it was like Christmas theme, whatever. Like throw it in there. Kind of. Never really play it. There's like a dedicated group of people who seem to always be playing it.
Yeah.
Like, I never really jump in there. This, on the other hand, this like totally changes the game.
Yeah,
this is great.
It's really great, and it makes me really excited because it's I think we all go on like a little bit with wins of like when we're gonna play a lot of Rocket League, maybe take a break, play something else. This time it's like 110%. I want to play this like all damn day.
Yeah, I played like 4 hours last night for the first time. And
So
I kind of play like I feel like I play like 30 minutes every day.
Yeah.
Or 30 minutes every 2 days, something like
Cash,
that.
yeah.
But this was like all in. So let's talk about the details, I guess.
Cool.
Mike, you played a bunch of this as well, right?
Yeah.
All right, so this is 2v2 predominantly.
Online 2v2.
Yeah,
you can do 4v4, like just private match if you want to. That gets, just like it does in soccer, it gets kind of hectic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All over
And
the
also
place.
more dangerous, though, just because the ball, like anytime it's in the air, you're kind of shitting your pants.
I imagine in 4v4 stuff, it's probably a bit more like chaotic, the goals. Like the goals just come from nowhere, from like a rebound that came from nowhere.
Did we even try 4v4?
Yeah,
I don't
we did.
think we did.
We did toward the end because we had, before like people left the office, and
Okay,
it was just
never mind.
3v3. And it was just pretty much the corner game in hoops now is really important because you can get those layup goals or the bank goals. And just people just collide left and right in the corners now. Like mainly my own teammates.
But like, I feel like it was great. It was like playing Rocket League week 1 again, where nobody knows what to do, so everyone's kind of like rushing into the corners and stuff. Like now, I don't even bother. Now it's like, unless I get that shot off the corner where it bounces and goes in, it's like there's no point in jumping in there unless you're getting boost. So I guess like the first couple of hours was like, how does this work? How do you score? What is the best way of like centering? What is the best way? Rob, what's your takeaway after playing this for a day and change of like the new tactics that you kind of need to use in this one?
Yeah, no longer I feel are you slamming this ball as hard as you can.
Yeah.
Because all that's going to do is shoot the ball and ricochet back onto your side. So you're taking your time and more or less, and 2v2, I think they really know this because 2v2 works so well because you're really just playing off your one other teammate. One of you is just simply trying to pop the ball up and then the other one's trying to slam dunk.
Yeah.
So and when it comes to also dunking and popping it up, is you really have to feather it. Again, you are not hitting this ball like with all your might. You're just kind of a little tap it in, get it up, and then someone else will just slam dunk that thing.
Because it's too hard to get the dunk if the ball is flying around at speed in the air.
Yeah.
So you're just not really doing yourself any favors.
Yeah, absolutely. So in that respect, it's very much an aerial game. You're trying to get that pop fly before anyone else. But yeah, like again, I mean, this has always kind of been with Rocket League too. Is you're not like both rushing the ball. Like I was even playing. I think also 4v4 is really frustrating because this map size isn't spectacularly large, right?
No.
It's not. If anything, it might be even shorter than most.
I think it is.
Or
I think
smaller.
it feels like it's a bit. Maybe it's like 80% or 70% the size of a regular field or something. But yeah, there's something about the ball feels like it moves differently too. Like it's got a bit more
you could
pop.
say that. Definitely.
Feels floatier.
Yeah.
floatier.
I at first, like when we all played in the office, we were like, I wish this was bigger, the arena. But the more I played a little bit last night, not as much as I'd like to after work, or after we all left the office. And I think the size is really good. I mean, if it was bigger, you would score so much less frequently.
Yeah, totally.
Because it's such a concentrated goal. Because I mean, the goals themselves weren't huge in soccer, and now there's just so many like less chances of going in because it's this hovering, target.
Some great little touches as well. They're adding this is obviously a free update for everyone who's got Rocket League. They're adding the DLC NBA flags, which I think is every single team in the tournament.
I thought
in the NBA.
To pay for that,
30 teams.
right?
I think you have to pay for those flags.
Yes, you have to pay for those.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah.
That's the only part.
Yeah, that's paid for DLC. But there's like they did a really good job of like adding nice little touches to this. With,
Oh,
like
the
the
aesthetics of it.
commentator and the squeaks.
on the floor is
Those are so
spectacular. Like
awesome.
landing after a layup or anything like that. Like, like your handbrake slide and getting ready for any kind of set. Yeah, it's really fun. Even the sound effect on the rim of the hoop.
Oh, yeah?
is really great. Yeah, it like I could just confidently say it's like a plastic with like a little bit of rattling like metal inside it. Like it
Yeah.
sounds really full. I
Like when
love
you
that.
pop it off it kind of.
Yeah.
Like,
Dun.
dong.
Yeah.
I also really like that whenever the ball is hovering above the target zone, it'll glow like orange or
Yes.
blue. So it helps you know when it's still like in danger of when you need to save it or when you could possibly go up for a dunk, because like it's floating over, you're blue, it's floating over the other goal.
And it's
going
not
to be orange.
binary either. It grows more blue or orange the closer
Yeah.
you are, and then when it's almost there, it's sort of it's almost like pulsating.
Which I hate.
And then I think does it go completely colored when it's definitely
so.
going
Yeah,
in or
I
something?
think-
It does, yeah.
Yeah, like the primary tone of it, I think definitely like shifts to that. But yeah, if we can talk about, man, if you're playing defense and you see this thing, and it is, you're looking up and, prior to Rocket League, you basically get like a 180 opportunity, right?
Yeah.
If this ball's coming down from the top, all you got to do is just hit it in a general direction against the wall, and you're good. It's going to head
Jump
that
up.
downfield. Yeah,
Yeah.
just jump up. Here, you got like a 360 degree, and so your car, you're like, we were swearing. I especially was swearing so often because you can't find the right angle, and you of course you want to hit an aerial and go straight up, but
Or like not directly up, because then it's got to come straight back down again as well. Sometimes you need
Right.
to like just gotta go like hit
Right.
it. It's so I want to go back to playing the regular soccer mode just to be like see all the terrible things that I've learned from playing this basketball version.
Yeah.
because it totally changes how you get into it. And the tip offs then they're all completely different too.
Yeah.
right, the tip offs. I think we mentioned a little bit earlier when we were talking, Danny, is it's kind of cool because if this were to come out, 2 months after Rocket League, where people were like definitely still learning how to do the aerial moves.
Yeah.
I think kickoffs or tip-offs for this would just been so frustrating. But you have to have a somewhat decent aerial player
Yeah.
to hit it first, because if you don't hit it first and something the other team does, it's gonna go in.
Yeah,
Like,
now they've gotten to the stage where like give them 6 hours and now everyone's like, okay, I can score from a tip
right.
off.
Well, because two things. Like if this had come out 2 months after release, Pete Brown would have gotten like destroyed. But yesterday he was the one like on the tip off. He got the most aces out of any of us. He had
really?
the aerial like down pat, and he was just that perfect angle where you kind of tip. Chris Waters is saying like, or no, you were saying you have to kind of hit it with the windshield to get the right
That's
angle.
the way I had it. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's probably like a load of different ways you can do it.
Pete was nailing it every time. And then one thing Rob got really good at, which reminded me of how like actual basketball is played, is when it's like rolling off the rim. Rob had the aerial like angled down, so he would kind of just give it the tip back in on the
Oh,
rebound.
nice.
Yeah.
Like a double tap.
Yeah.
It's so satisfying when it works out.
Yeah.
You can do all this stuff as well in exhibition mode. You can do it with bots, although the bots do not know what the hell's going on.
Super funny. I mean, whoever plays exhibition mode, like
I just did just to practice. There's the bots there. They'll just drive into each other at the same time.
it's like it's super funny. They just weren't ever programmed to jump on the beginning of a round, so they all just collide. Yeah, it's great.
And when you, I was doing one-on-one with it as well, and the other bot was just basically sitting in the net. Like whenever I went in, they're as if they're standing on the goal line, I think. So it's good to learn a bit of fundamentals or, just practice a little bit.
Yeah.
It's great though. Last point on this, I guess, is some nice little sort of quality of life fixes as well. They've put in the ability to save replays, kind of like quick save, like hot save them or something.
So during a match, you can, I think you just hit like for PlayStation 4, it's just like your general touchpad. You hit that, and it'll a message will pop, and it'll be like, oh, we are going to automatically save this replay for you because you want that. And then the other option is after your match ends, a message comes up and it's like, what do you want to name this? Which is really great if you eventually you start like me at least.
He called one like Chris Eats Shit or something.
But yeah, you end up with like this massive list of them.
It's
or-
just
yeah.
all it says is like June 5th where you lost 2-1. It's like I don't remember that.
And am I right in saying that the new camera, the little pop zoom on the replay is new as well?
Oh, that's so
I
great.
love that.
Well, that's just so reminiscent of an actual, I guess any kind of sports stream, but it just reminds me exactly of basketball. After a three, like I always do the car backwards, going back to my side.
I do a little flip.
Yeah.
Is it only in
Fantastic.
basketball?
No, I mean, I guess.
No. I mean, have they only put it in the basketball?
Oh, yeah, that's
version?
definitely new.
Has anyone actually played soccer yet?
Oh,
Since the
I
update.
see.
'Cause I
Oh,
don't know
right.
if they've added that
if
into
they
the-
did or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's so lame that both of us were like doing that, like, woo.
Well,
like
that's
showboaty. I guess that's basketball, right?
yeah, definitely. Well, walking. I think
Doing, like,
walking backwards. You know, yeah, to your side of the court.
That's good stuff.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
fun.
it. All right, there you go. That's it. It's free. It's available for everyone now. They were kind of rolling it out last night over all the platforms and whatnot.
Yeah.
If you have this on Xbox One or PS4 or PC.
Well, this dude yesterday ruined.
It went around
I
the,
hate him so much. Dude.
Why did you
Chris-
get
Well, because
No.
we all were informed by Psyonix that it was going to be released today. So this son of a
No,
bitch.
this is what I was responding to a prank you pulled earlier, which I found out it wasn't actually him that orchestrated that prank. So I'm sorry.
I'm so pissed.
But Chris
What did you
Waters,
do?
like,
Were you
he went around the office and told everyone who likes Rocket League that it's live. It was live 4 p.m. yesterday, except for me. So everyone gets into a game, and I hear all these like,
he backs his
what's
chair
everyone
up.
playing?
He backs his chair up to look at Mary's TV. He's like, "What are you playing?"
I
The
was
looks
rest
like
of us
Rocket
were
League.
just really pissed.
Yeah. Well,
Unlucky.
Chris Waters announced it, and then I orchestrated the prank. So I'm sorry.
Should we have a game after the lobby?
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Oh, actually, Chris Waters and I are going to be live streaming 3:30.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You doing some
hoops.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. Can I hop in on that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I've
yeah.
already
Yeah,
done
yeah.
thumbnails for
Play for the
today's
desk.
show.
Booyah.
Yay. All right. If you want in on that as well, make sure you follow what's PlayStation 4 or PC.
PlayStation 4.
What's your username? Robcat?
Turco Bango. One word.
Sorry. Turco Bango.
Mistakes.
Great.
What
It's
are you gonna
almost
do?
as bad as Mary Kish's PlayStation 4 name.
MK
Mary, what's your-
284848228.
MK and then her social security number.
MK, and then essentially like the full number of pi just keeps going.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mary. We'd have Mary on to talk about Outlast as well, but unfortunately, she now is the only person who knows how to run the show. So it's all in her hands. She's like that key dude in The Matrix.
Right.
The key maker.
Key
master. Anyway, if you like Rocket League, let us know in the comments below. All right. Let's talk about the last game. The game of the hour. Actually, would have had Mary on to talk about this as well. She did a great video. It's on GameSpot right now. You can check out all about Mirror's Edge Catalyst. We're here to talk about Mirror's Edge Catalyst, a sequel, prequel type effort, reimagining, long time in the making. I mean, Mirror's Edge feels like, that's an early Xbox 360 game. That's a game that's been around for a long time. I played a bit of it on PC earlier.
I saw that.
Still looks all right.
It does.
But what we were playing over the weekend was the beta for Catalyst, which I was playing on Xbox One. Where were you playing on?
PS4.
You were playing PS4. Mike,
right.
you didn't play, did you?
I didn't get a chance to play
But
it yet.
you have played Mirror's Edges in the past.
Oh, yeah.
You've been on a Mirror's Edge or two.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so let's kind of chew into it. I feel like I'm a big fan of the first Mirror's Edge. What about yourself? Do you like
I actually never played it.
Okay, that's actually perfect, right?
Right.
Sort of way of coming into this. So I came in with sort of like rather lofty expectations of what I would like from this game. And I feel like I've kind of gone a bit all over the place with it. And I'm still not really sure exactly where I land. You coming in fresh into it, playing on PlayStation 4, what did you think, Catalyst?
I really enjoyed it. If I could make any comparison, I'd say like off the bat, as far as parkour games, I played like Dying Light, and
Right.
that's a little reminiscent as far as like the feel and doing cool moves. I
great game.
thought the parkour in this game was spectacular. I didn't have any issues, maybe gripes, not at all. Like it was a really fun experience. I enjoyed it. It's a cool city. At first, I was a little. Actually, I went two ways. First, I was like, oh, this is a really bland world, looks like an Apple store.
Right.
and then I was like, oh, this is actually more of a cool environment. I like the setup. It's this utopian city.
Yeah.
It gave me a lot of like Equilibrium vibes.
Right.
With like what
Yeah.
these guys are trying to basically put down people. Like no emotions from you. Like
1984 or something.
And then you did some
Sure.
gun kate or whatever the hell it's called.
Gunkata.
Gunkata.
Yeah. Grammaton clerics.
and then I had a third wind of this is getting a little boring.
Right.
Looking at like a room and it's just these glasses that I don't know, like the glasses on a table, and it looks like just crap.
Yeah, none of this
It
looks...
just doesn't look that great, and
Yeah.
it gets boring. And I'm you walk into a room and it's like just blocks, and that got old for me.
It's a weird sort of dystopian utopia. I guess for people who haven't played the original, or people who have played the original don't know what this is about. Basically what they've done with Mirror's Edge is it's now in a sort of open world, and I mean, open world is maybe a bit of a stretch. It's just a large area, like a large level, which I'm sure opens up even bigger when you get into beta. And then the biggest problem that was with Mirror's Edge, the first one, or the biggest criticism, which most players and reviewers had, was that the gun combat in that game was like a big issue. Like you had the option to shoot people, or you could keep running in the first game. And then later on in the first game, there were like 2 or 3 levels that were at the end of the game, which was essentially were forced to use a gun, and it didn't work well. Even though this was the same studio who's made Battlefield, of course, DICE. So what they've done in this is that they've basically made it so most of the lower level enemies that you encounter only use truncheons. So they only use batons basically to beat you down. And the main mechanic that they've added, like most of the running is almost identical to Mirror's Edge. They've added a bunch of like extra types of movement and whatnot. Most of it seems to be around the combat, like jumping off walls to take people down, or jumping off walls and pushing people out of the way. They've sort of split the combat in 2 ways. One is like I'm hitting them to get past them. It's like a traversal attack. And then the other one is like a heavy attack, which is, I'm actually trying to kill this person.
Right.
But they sort of push you in the direction of not trying to kill everyone, because there's this flow meter, which you build up the more you run.
So there are people who shoot you
Yes.
later on, and that's, they call it dodge shield.
Yeah.
So later on, you will get guys shooting at you, and the idea is have that meter filled in order to have that like secondary shield against bullets, and then use your parkour to like take them out or whatever.
Which is cool, right? It's like,
Yeah.
if you build up enough flow, then basically you can dodge bullets, and that's kind of like a cool, conceit.
Yeah,
in
it's
a game
fun.
like this.
I got different takes on they would implement it like different ways, right? Like here's point A, point B. Don't fight anyone.
Yeah.
Like these were mission elements, and another one would be like, you actually got to fight these guys. So it was a mixture of both, I guess.
And you can if you want, you can like engage in the fight and knock down somebody, or knock them into
someone else,
another
yeah.
person, or get them close to the edge of a corner and then knock them off. And what it kind of reminded me of is that I really like using like melee weapons in games like Skyrim or Oblivion, but there are some people who will not touch that, who will never play a melee build in one of those games. And first-person melee combat is like such an incredibly difficult thing to do right, and I think they've kind of done a pretty good job of it, but at the end of the day, it's just never that compelling. Like, I was sort of using and putting most of my tech stuff into my movement and not necessarily my combat stuff, to basically get rid of them. And then there's this, and this is the sort of stuff that's like weird for a beta, right? Because you don't really know how, this is pretty close to release. They pushed it back, I think, to like a week before E3 or something like that now. But it's coming out pretty soon. So some of this stuff, I'm not sure if it's fair to lay on it because it is a beta. One, this game does not look great.
No, I know.
And the first game, when it came out on the Xbox 360, it was very striking. It was linear, so then there's that whole thing, if you have a game that is relatively, boxed in, then you can add more visually striking elements to it because you're not worried about people going outside and having to load more stuff or whatever. I don't know how games work. That obviously doesn't exist in this one. The other thing is that like the original game felt very cinematic, like this sort of like weird future Luc Besson type world that's kind of crazy and, like you said, like looks like an Apple store, but you kind of like, it's like a linear weird story.
Right.
I'm on it. When you spread that out into an open world, it just doesn't make any sense. It's like, why is everything so clean? Why is everyone so idealistic? Why are none of these characters in any way believable? But like the mission people were just standing around on rooftops, and if they're not willing to give you the mission, they literally just stand there.
Yeah.
Like I saw somebody who was standing there
What
on
are
a
you
rooftop. On a fucking rooftop. Like, by the way, just like 15 stories up or something on a rooftop. And I'm like, why are you standing here? And like, they don't do anything. And then later on, they're a mission giver, but they were there the whole time.
Or how about, there was one guy who I did a mission for, and I gave him the whatever, and then he's still standing there.
Yeah, he's standing
after I
yeah.
did his mission. He's just hanging out. And
like-
he doesn't talk to you. He's just
Yeah. Also, that mission was the weirdest voiceover I've... Like, person gives you something to give to somebody. Instead of using a courier system, they're using you because of this sort of political reason. And then when you run away from her, she's talking to you in your ear. And I'm like, how are you talking? Like, I'm sure there's some future, it's a good thing we invented the squabble blah, so everyone can, like, talk to each other. But, like, there's just so much of that. There's no consistency to the world. It didn't feel real. I thought Fade's VO was really not great at all.
So I thought the voice acting in the cinematics was actually top notch. I was really into that. That's just me.
Right.
But yeah, you can get into her character. But I have to say one thing. there was an area when I was doing, I was, you can do side missions like go hack this billboard, and I'm climbing on this area, and I'm like, oh, there's people in this room. Oh, I'm looking in. Jake Decker and I did the live stream. Of the 12 people in this room, 4 of them are exactly the same. On the phone, in a line, like 3 people in a line, all the same. That's a bummer, and hopefully that's not present. There's another scene where I was looking down in between 2 buildings, and a drone. Did you look at the drones flying by?
Right.
Some of them, literally, their fans are just triangles.
Right. Yeah.
That's frightening to me.
Like, I bet this game will look a lot better on PC. And the weird thing about it is this game, when you stream it on the internet, looks really good. It has the opposite effect of Far Cry Primal.
Just
right, the compression,
it all,
the compression helps it.
Yeah.
Whereas with the added detail you have on your own home television, there's just something about it looks so edgy in like a not very sort of a pleasing type way. And like, that's just not you and me. Like, I've heard that across the board from a lot of people who've played it, is that it doesn't look super, I don't know. To me, this feels so much like Mirror's Edge 1 in like all the right ways and all the wrong ways. And that like the traversal is very, very identical. The unlock system is like, they're like petering out bits and bobs to you because I feel like they're trying to teach you how to do this whole combat thing. But it feels like an open world game that also was made in 2007. It doesn't feel like a real fleshed out world to me at all.
Did you look at the skill tree? Like the one they blocked off about half of what the skill tree is.
Yeah.
I think maybe there's
more.
more.
Like 3. There's like movement, combat, and something else.
Gear.
Okay.
If you look down on some of like the combat ones, some of like the trees are just damage. More damage.
Yeah,
More damage. Or I don't know. Where are these? I was looking through them. Like, where are the moves? I expect something along the lines of that, and it's not just like damage against these guys.
And the thing that was like pushing you forward in the first Mirror's Edge, and again, this is difficult to levy this criticism on a beta, but the thing that was the fact that this is a linear story based game, and you were going into new environments, which was always sort of the fun element was like, oh, this next level is going to look beautiful in a new way, or like there was the level you had to like go down in the circle, in the
underground,
and do all that, and then there was like loads of like sort of sewery type levels and stuff like that. And I don't know, I've been treading a lot of common ground, no pun intended, common ground in this game like over and over again, and I don't like, even if they do mix it up, I don't know that the next area is going to be interesting.
Right.
So the thing that's like that they're trying to like push you forward with the unlocks and all that, that's not compelling enough for me to keep playing. I found like I'd once say just went, you know what, I like exploring open world games, I'm just going to go on and explore. And I went la 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 la, and I'm like, one of the things that one of my biggest criticisms of Watch Dogs is that you could be anywhere in Watch Dogs, and if somebody asked you to go back to your house, you wouldn't have a clue. Mm-hmm. Like, it just, nothing about the world, like a game like GTA, you kind of have an idea, right? There's like landmarks.
I know the street.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
The streets look different.
Yeah, you have a sense of the place. You're actually taking in the place. Mirror's Edge Catalyst to me was just like, I'm running past, it could be, I don't know where I am. And I ran to like and I played for like 3 hours or something, and in a relatively small area, it's not that big. And I ran to the furthest reach of it to be like, oh, where does the map stop? And it was this concourse that was about like 6 lanes wide was the way they split you off in the city. And I just felt, I want to go there, or I want to go down there, or I want to go, I'm just stuck on the roofs. And it feels really weird.
Even your main, I mean, again, this is beta, right? I don't know what's going to be either in for stores, but your main hub, it seemed like there were only 2 ways of exiting.
Yeah.
In that you were going down lanes that over time got repetitive.
Yeah.
Like I'm hoping there are, I mean, I only played for like 4 or 5 hours, but like I hope there are lanes that you can start, making up your own, like more of that. Like, because when you initially leave, it's just this, it's like the same route. I've done this route before, and I don't know. I hope
like the same 30 seconds both ways is identical.
Exactly.
And I feel like if you haven't played a game like Dying Light, maybe you come off this completely different. If you haven't played a lot of like first-person open world games which have like half decent traversal, like I even think like Far Cry Primal to me is a game that's a fun game about exploring a world and trying to like, I don't know, like I enjoy the movement in that game and like the combat in that game far more than I enjoy the movement and combat in this. And this is fine, but like. And then I just feel like with Dying Light, especially, you've got a game that does parkour pretty well, does shooting really good, and it even does driving in a new one really good. So to me, this game just feels like, oh, you've made a sequel to a game which at the time was doing a lot of new things, but in 2016 isn't doing anything new, so I don't know where they had room to grow.
And even Dying Light, sorry to interrupt, at nighttime, You
Right.
have crazy threat. In this environment, there's practically no NPCs.
Yeah.
There's no real threat. You get the K-Sec guys, but in that playthrough of the beta, there were only these like outpost security points.
Yeah.
Where you would go into one of those and then you would engage them, and then you'd have this chase. It'd be cool if there was more of a chase. It'd be cool if it was so unexpected. They're onto you now. Now
Yeah.
you 2 stars, GTA. Okay, cool. Now I have to change up my way of playing. This game.
If you're just wandering around mid-mission, like I wandered around mid-mission for probably about an hour last night, maybe 45 minutes, and didn't run into any of them. They're not just,
No, they're not
they're
there.
only in missions. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it seems very strange.
Yeah, it's tough. It feels like a tough game, the first Mirror's Edge, to make a sequel to, right? Because it's just the thing I loved about it was linear, but there were still alternate routes you could take through that world. The traversal felt good, and I like that they didn't force weapons on you for the majority of the game. But at the same time, I think we're past the point where we need to stop just throwing open world onto a game just for the sake of saying that's a feature. Because, like Far Cry Primal is a good example. I think that game made awesome use of its open world. That's what I'm worried about with Catalyst. It doesn't look like it's going to yet. I have not touched the beta, so I don't know. But that's why I'm tempering my expectations when it does release.
And I think that's probably what we're doing is like trying to temper. I'm not saying this is bad. It was fine. I
Yeah,
enjoyed
I
it,
enjoyed it too.
but it's not. It's not the feeling you got when you played Mirror's Edge 1. It feels, and this is a beta, and like people in the chat are making good points. Like CBW86 is saying the map of the beta is one district of around 3 or 4, and there's an underground area too. So I'm sure it does expand.
Sure.
But like, you can gain a certain amount of knowledge from the loop that they give you in these things, and that's the sort of come up that I'm getting from this is that like, okay, I know what game you are, and it's like that's fine.
I'm just worried, like, will the open world aspect kill what I liked about the first game? Because I know you need to do something different with a sequel enough to set it apart, but will the open world sacrifice what makes that parkour so intriguing to me?
Yeah. Like the time trial-y stuff that was in Mirror's Edge 1, like I didn't touch at all. I just like the single player. But like that's a lot of what the side missions in this seems to be. It's very like point-to-point races.
And they're not that different.
No.
There's a dash, and then there's a shoot. There's another one.
But there's the ones where you're getting the security chips as well, which essentially is just an elongated version of a point-to-point. It's a point-to-point, but there's 4 points. You know what I mean? So they feel very similar. It's like, instead of going to the checkered flag, I'm just hitting X at a box, And
some of them are, both are essentially do this as fast as you can. It's the same, you're getting the same drive. One of them is just like, if you can't do it in 2 minutes, you got to do it again.
Yeah.
Or you're doing a race, it's like, oh, well, you get 1 star. Come back again if you want to, get 2 stars.
And there's probably some cool stuff where like you unlock new abilities and then you figure out faster routes of doing these things.
Yeah.
But you're just still doing point-to-point races. Like that's like the one side mission that the open world games have tried to get rid of for the past 5 years. So yeah, it seems a little bit weird. I don't know. Huh. Mirror's Edge Catalyst. It's fine, right?
I did like it. I enjoyed it.
I was really down on it for the first couple hours, and then I think when I started going out, I think then when I had the expectation of what it was and I messed around a little bit more, I was kind of like, it's I guess Mirror's Edge. So I guess I'll find out more soon. That was the sort of smaller beta they've done. I'm not sure if they're opening it up to any more. It's been pushed back though a little while, so you're going to have to wait and see to get your own Catalyst on. Let us know what you think. Are you excited for it? Are you tempering expectations? Did you not play the first one and you're looking to get into it? Let us know if you've played Dying Light as well. I think it's a good game to compare it with. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on. Rob, you're doing a stream in 30 minutes time, it sounds like.
Yeah, is it 3 o'clock?
It is 3 o'clock.
Yeah, 30 minutes.
Sweet.
Some Rocket League.
Sweet basketball. Hoops,
dude.
Hoops and soccer.
So much different.
Mike, what are you up to for the rest of the week?
I'm trying to play hoops as often as possible. I'm waiting to get Uncharted 4 soonish. They shipped, so apparently
just move to England.
I was going to say Amazon UK screwed it up. Like they released a lot of copies on the original release date before that delay. I wish I was in the UK.
So the way street releases work in England, I think anyway, that was when I lived there, was that if somebody breaks the street date, basically everyone just sells it then.
That's what I'd heard. That's so weird.
So I'm not sure if that works 2 weeks out. That seems like a bit crazy. But even when I lived there, there were shops like independent game stores in London that I would go to that I'd know because the deliveries come in. I used to work in retail, so the deliveries usually come in on the Tuesdays. So I'd go into them on the Tuesdays and be like, "Yo, can you sell it to me?" And there were ones that, like, if you gave them an extra $5, they'd sell it to you. Yeah.
You could bribe them for advanced copies.
Yeah. You give an extra. Awesome. It was like a pre-order thing or whatever. So like the fact that they've given them 2 weeks early, and then you have a culture of people giving them out early, means like if you're a fan of Uncharted, be really careful on the internet for
Yeah,
next
when are the
couple of months.
floodgates going to open?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Because there are. It sounds like the ending of a. I haven't played any of it, so I don't know what the hell happens in
Yeah,
it. But it
this
sounds
is-
like this could be a type of game where maybe a spoiler could be said in a
A
sentence.
thief's end.
Definitely.
Right? Yeah. Like, who knows?
You know,
This
Yeah,
is Drake
that's what I'm guessing.
finishing
So,
things off.
so maybe just be a little careful about
Yeah.
that. That's crazy though, isn't it?
Yeah.
When are we getting? Do you know when we're going to be getting it? Or
I don't know. Pete's talking to the people doing it, and
yeah.
I don't know. I'll be reviewing it, but I have no idea when I'll have the game.
Do you have any
So
idea when you?
stoked.
Sorry, go on, Rob.
Oh, I'm saying I just finished the collection. I had so I'm just right in time for this fourth
I was
game.
gonna say that's perfect. That's good timing.
I'm stoked.
I played that when it released. What, November?
Yeah.
Was it
Yeah.
that long ago? Wow.
Yeah.
And the 4 looks great. That like 17, 18 minute gameplay video they put up was just so
The
good.
chase,
With
like
the Jeep.
being dragged in the
The
mud.
Jeep
yeah.
stuff.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, the Jeep stuff where like the traversal with the Jeep.
Right, but
Just
then at
saying,
one
yeah.
point he's hanging onto the rope, being like
Oh, yeah,
dragged
yeah.
in the mud, and then over the side of the bridge. Right.
Yeah, it's super good.
Yeah. It looks.
Yeah.
looks
Looking
Yeah.
forward to that bad boy.
Oh yeah.
We'll see.
All right, soon and very soon. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching the lobby today. Really appreciate it, as ever. Thank you very much to Mike Mahardy, Rob Handlery, Peter Brown for coming on, Mary Kish in the back, Eric Tay, as ever, and Richard Lee on the camera there. Great job. He looks real good. It's a real shame he's not on camera. You look real good, man. Look at that. Look at that. He's wearing a hat. He's wearing a hat indoors. Pulls it off as well. Great job. All right, we're done here. Thanks so much. If you want to listen to us on iTunes, of course, the lobby's available there as well. You can check it out and listen to it. Don't listen to this one, though, because you've already watched it. But if you missed it, you can listen to it there or watch this on demand on YouTube or GameSpot. And there's probably a Twitch archive as well. All right, see you next week. Bye. 3:30 stream.